Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. I take on board much of what all the members in the Chamber have taken on today, and I take on board the Tories are wanting to talk about how we can deal with the powers that we now have. But they can't get away from the fact, no matter how you try to dress it up, the heartache that has been caused in communities throughout Scotland with their so-called welfare reforms. You cannot just say, this is day one, this is the new beginning. You have to take responsibility for some of the things that the Tories have done. Gladly, Mr Tompkin.
Will the member accept that disability, living allowance and PIP have gone up every year since the Conservatives became the government in 2010?
George Adam.
What I will accept, Mr Tompkin, is the fact that you have put heartache families through disabilities tests to make sure that they actually have to prove how disabled they are. You've had people who have not assessed their actual condition and have failed their PIP, and 80% in appeal end up getting it anyway. You've made an absolute farce of the situation, so you can't dress it up and try and kid on that you are the good guys in this whole scenario. The fact that respect for individuals is at the very heart of everything the Scottish Government intends to do with disability benefits will be a welcome change to many of the people and families living with disabilities. Currently, the Westminster Tory Government has treated disabled people with no respect, offering them no dignity and making them feel that their disability is their fault. Whether it be the attacks by the Westminster Conservative Government on their benefits, the very money that is keeping them and their families, giving them the opportunity to get by. Many members will be aware I work with the Renfrewshire Access Panel and I'm the patron of the Scottish Disability Equality Forum. And through this work I've seen the heartache and devastation caused by the Tory administration in Westminster. It is only right that this Scottish Government challenges itself with treating disabled people with dignity and respect. As this is Carers Week, I should declare interest as a carer, Presiding Officer. Many of you will know my wife Stacey and I am her primary carer. Although, Presiding Officer, she's done not a bad job in the past 20 years keeping me in the straight and narrow. But today is our wedding anniversary, and I'd like to use our 20th wedding anniversary, and I'd like to use our example of dealing with multiple sclerosis and the challenges that's had. I've seen how a disability can affect someone in their life, from a young woman walking down the aisle 20 years ago to now, if she probably did that, Mr Tompkins, she'd probably fail her PIP assessment, which would probably ensure that, which also to say a woman now who has to adapt how she lives her life to deal with her disability. Now, Scotland is full of these stories. Families struggling to deal with life's many challenges, with the added disadvantage of also dealing with lifelong conditions. When we work with these families in their time of need, we need to ensure that the state does not become one of their extra problems. That is what exactly is happening at the moment with the so-called Tory welfare reform. Presiding Officer, Conservative double talk for making the poor and disabled is actually a case of just actually making them poorer and less able. At this point, Presiding Officer, I'd like to take this opportunity to discuss two elements of the debate that are extremely important to me: the role of carers and living with long-term conditions. As I've stated previously, I am Stacey's primary carer, but I'm lucky. I'm lucky enough to have the support of a family who can actually make sure that I can go out and try and achieve everything for our own family. But others don't have that opportunity. Others don't have that support. And we need to ensure, as a government, that we can offer that type of support for carers and make sure that they get that support and opportunity to be able to do that. Many carers can't work. Many carers can't work. The sole earners, they are the sole earners, but they can't work because they have so much to do with their caring work as well. So an MS is obviously a condition that I have to live with, and when I say I have to live with it, I have to live with Stacey dealing with MS, and she supports me and our family supports us to make sure that we can deal with that. But the MS Society in Scotland recently asked us all to make welfare make sense. And that's not a strange request, because when you look at the current system, it does not help long-term conditions like multiple sclerosis. We need to find a way to ensure that we can make that easier. And one of the things that they came up with the welfare system in Scotland must must not threaten the financial security of people affected by MS through unmanageable assessment process and short-term awards, but instead show how greater understanding of the complexity of their condition. We must take into account the conditions that individuals have and what they have to deal with in that case as well. And the key findings of a recent MS Scotland survey found that most people who are diagnosed with MS happens between 20 and 30 years old. Key years working life, key years in your educational life. 80% of them with MS end up not working within 15 years of actually being diagnosed. That shows you the challenges that we have with many other long-term conditions. And it's good that the Scottish Government continues to talk about respect and dignity during this debate. But as someone once said, don't count the days, let's make the days count. Let's make sure we get this right and support families throughout Scotland who are having to deal with long-term conditions and disabilities.